Terima kasih ya. Let me begin by just introducing you Senator Nick Xenophon from the Australian Parliament, who is here to have a series of meetings with MPs and other civil society groups, initially to observe the trial. But since the trial has been postponed due to our application to recuse the judge, he has decided then to be here in Parliament to observe some of the proceedings and have discussions with us. So let me just begin by introducing him, thanking our other colleagues from Keadilan PAS and DAP, and then for Senator Nick Xenophon, make sure the spelling is right, it's Greek, Xenophon.
I've got some cards. I'll give some cards out.
And
Yeah.
so please, Senator.
Yeah. Thank you very much to Anwar Ibrahim, my parliamentary colleague. It's a real privilege to be here with him. I first met Anwar Ibrahim in Canberra several weeks ago, and the issue of the trial of Anwar Ibrahim is one that has concerned many in Australia. You may know that 61 MPs, almost a quarter of all the members of the Australian Parliament, signed at short notice a letter of concern in relation to the trial of Anwar Ibrahim. And I just want to put this in context that Australia and Malaysia are great friends, they are old friends. In World War II, 7,000 Australian servicemen lost their lives fighting with the Malaysians in World War II. That Australian troops fought during the emergency from 1948 to 1960. That there is a very strong link between the two nations, that there are 23,000 Malaysian students in Australia today, that there are 120,000 Malaysian-born Australian citizens in Australia today, and that there are something like 15,000 Malaysian students in Malaysia being taught at Australian universities within Malaysia. So we are old friends and we are good friends, and my message is that when you are good friends and old friends, you need to tell each other the truth. And there is a real concern that Anwar Ibrahim's trial has raised much concern in Australia about the fairness or the lack of fairness of that trial. And in the same way that we would expect an old friend such as Malaysia to tell us if we were doing the wrong thing, then that is why I'm here. That firstly, initially to observe the trial, but to also express this, not just my support as an independent Member of Parliament, but also the support of many on all sides of politics. I think it would be fair to say that Anwar Ibrahim is very widely respected in the Australian Parliament and in the Australian community. He's respected as being a champion of democracy and a champion of fairness, and that is why so many of us in Australia are watching with very keen interest in relation to his trial. So these are the key issues, and I'm more than happy to take any questions from you. And I think the issue is one of fairness, and we are very concerned about the fairness of the trial. I'm also a lawyer by background, and I am quite horrified at some of the aspects of Mr. Ibrahim's trial in terms of the lack of procedural fairness.
A bit shocked, surprised, or?
They all agree with me, that's why.
Thank you for your agreement and support and endorsement. No, if you can, we can just confine first to the remarks made by Senator Nick Xenophon, and then probably afterwards then we can proceed to some other related issues. I think many of my colleagues have said enough on this atrocious manner the committee privileges have conducted itself. It's a simple, basic rule. You have a committee, you must call the accused person, witnesses, or documents. Nothing of the sort. That just reinforces the concern expressed by the senator just now. Okay?
Can I say that this issue of Anwar Ibrahim's trial will be brought up in the Australian Parliament. The Parliament is resuming in February, and I must emphasise this is quite unusual. The depth and level of support for Anwar Ibrahim in the Australian Parliament is quite extraordinary. I think it's a sign of the respect he has in the Australian community, people from all sides of politics, from the government, from the members of the government party, members of the opposition party, those who sit on the crossbenches, all of those groups have signed, this letter of support for Anwar Ibrahim. So that is quite unusual that you get that level of universal support. So I expect that this will be raised in the Australian Parliament. But well, it is quite unusual, but often it is in the context of human rights issues. It's a question of fairness of the trial, and it's also an issue of the strong bond between our two countries as good friends. And as I said, if you're a good friend, a truly good friend will always tell the truth to their friends, and we expect the same from Malaysia, and that is what we are doing now in terms of the many MPs from all sides of politics are very involved and very concerned about this trial. Well, I expect it will be brought up again in February. There'll be further, but again, this is about expressing our concern as friends, as old and good friends of Malaysia, and the fact that there is such a strong presence of Malaysian students, that is something that is universally welcomed in Australia. The fact that there are so many 120,000 Malaysian-born citizens of Australia now indicates the close bonds between our two countries. Well, look, I am also a lawyer, so I'm a lawyer and a politician, which is a fairly interesting combination. There is a real concern in terms of procedural fairness. The fact that witness statements haven't been provided, the fact that the method of examining medical witnesses and the like hasn't been provided in terms of medical notes. These are very serious issues, and I agree with the view of some that this matter should not proceed based on the current flaws. And can I say, as a lawyer, I'm very reluctant to comment on a case that is proceeding, but in extraordinary cases where there are such fundamental flaws, it is quite proper, I believe, to say that there is a real concern that it has been so fundamentally flawed, and I think any reasonable objective analysis will show that the manner in which this trial has been conducted has been very, very deeply flawed.
I'm very encouraged by the attitude and concern by our students, Malaysians in Australia, including Malaysians who are now Australians, Australian citizens. Since Australia has free media, they have access to the internet, the independent websites. They tend to follow closely the development here. I was in Canberra, Sydney, and prior to that, the last few years, Melbourne, Brisbane, and a few cities. I sense there's a lot of concern, a lot of support, clamoring for change, for freedom, democracy, for the rule of law. And we would encourage many of them to come back and vote during the elections and express their views independently, as students, as businessmen, or as just tourists in Australia. Okay?
During the last press conference, so dia decision dia ada kembali ada halangan membuat ucapan di luar in the speeches yang sekiranya ada yang lain. Jadi apa juga nanti
There's question. Yeah, thank you. Questions about suspension. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to preempt the decision of the committee, but clearly the entire process is a fraudulent one. You can't have a committee that disallow me to present my case. Now, I hear from friends in the media that they are bent on suspending me for 6 months. Well, they bar me from participating in the parliamentary proceedings, but will not then stop me from exercising my right as a citizen, as an MP, to speak to the constituents in my constituency and also throughout the country, or for that matter, internationally.
Can I say something about that? I'm aware of the Privileges Committee, and I know in the Senate we have had debates about Privileges Committees and the like. I find it extraordinary that you would have a Privileges Committee that would not allow the person being accused to have an opportunity to speak. So you may be familiar of the expression of a kangaroo court in Australia. This is much worse than a kangaroo court, and it's not even a koala court. It is quite extraordinary. And can I say that I think in terms of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, of all the parliaments of the Commonwealth, I think this is something that they would want to know about, and including the European Union and the United States. It just seems extraordinary to be accused and not have an opportunity to defend yourself.
Okay.